So today, lads, we're going to be talking about something that everyone is obviously, no one's 1,000,000% sure of, but a lot of people are like questioning when it comes to Caitlin Clark is like, well, what happens if the Fever, go and make the finals? And let's just say it's a 5-game series and suddenly it's 12 days from now. You're going into October. And Caitlin's 1,000,000% going to be healthy in October. And it says here, Caitlin Clark would not be able to play in the playoffs even if she's healthy. It says here, she's not eligible to return for the Indiana Fever for the rest of the season, even if she fully recovered and was able to play. While Clark could have returned at any point in the regular season, each team needs to submit an active roster ahead of the playoffs. Only players on a submitted active roster are eligible to play in the postseason. Clark, who's out for the season with right groin injury, left off the roster. According to Scott Agnes, it's a right ankle injury. But it seems like Scott Agnes said, she's listed every season, but she could play. And it's weird. It's really weird. We've got beat writers contradicting each other. And I think in this case, Chloe's probably right. Clark, who's out for the season, right groin injury, was left off the active roster. The Rookie of the Year, first team honoree, was limited 13 games, yada, yada. The other 4 players with season-ending injuries were also left off the active roster. That left Fever with 11 players on the active roster, 4 of which are signed to hardship waivers. Indiana's 10 available players to the playoffs so far as Dantas suffered concussion last week and missed all 3 games. Should the Fever advance further in the playoffs, Dantas would be eligible to return. Why did they not just put her on the active roster? Why did they not just put her on the active roster? They have only 11 players. There is actually zero harm in putting by the sounds of things, there is actually zero harm of putting Caitlin Clark on the active roster. Because if she does recover, they get Caitlin Clark for the finals. And look, they're not beating the Lynx in the best 7. Look, I don't think they're going to beat the Aces. I don't think they're going to beat the Aces in this series. Like, just out of respect for Kelsey Mitchell, I'm going to give them 1 game, but I don't know which game that's going to be. I'm calling the Aces in 4, and I don't know which game it's going to be, just out of respect, but I'm calling the Aces in 4. So Indiana Fever fans, be fucking happy, because I've just predicted the Las Vegas Aces. But yeah, it's one of those things where there's actually, if they could have just put her on the active roster, and if she's ready to go. Because there is no way that if this series goes 5 games and they win, she wouldn't be ready for the finals. And you might be saying, oh, it's a detriment to bring back Caitlin Clark. It's never a detriment to bring back Caitlin Clark. There is no scenario where it is better to have a Shea Petty. It doesn't matter how rusty Caitlin Clark is. It doesn't matter how many games she's missed this season. There is no scenario where it is better to put Shea Petty on the floor than Caitlin Clark if Caitlin's healthy. That scenario does not exist. And with that being said, like, Caitlin as a healthy player could be a difference between the Fever making the finals and not, because this Fever team is so good without Caitlin right now that if you give them Caitlin, like, I don't think they are contenders on a player-for-player basis. Like, if basketball was played on a spreadsheet, if basketball was played on a 2K My Career Sim where the highest overalls wins, just give the title to Liberty already. But you know what? Sometimes you add in a player and it doesn't work out. Sometimes you add in that player that's meant to put you over the edge and it doesn't work out, like an Emma Messiman. You add in a player that's meant to make you from top contenders to this is unfair and it doesn't work out. The Kevin Durant situation is a fucking anomaly where it wins them it. Like, that situation was an anomaly. But the Indiana Fever, could you imagine? They already have the power of friendship. They've already equipped Stephanie White as the coach card that gives them a +10 to every single one of their stats. They've already had the Steph White coach card that gives them a +10 to all their stats. And now you have the power of friendship, which is another trait in every one of these players, gives them a +10 player. +10, to all their stats when they play with other players with the power of friendship trait. And then you suddenly add in Caitlin Clark, who's a 96 overall, fits perfectly synergy-wise, and also comes with the power of friendship trait. Oh my God, I'm putting out too much video game references right here. But anyway, why did they not just put her on the active roster? there's always a chance, especially if they go into October and it's like a month, it's 3 months where Caitlin's out. Like, if for a groin injury to last 3 months, Caitlin would not have been able to walk for weeks after the original one. There is no way she would not be healthy to play a few minutes in the finals. And they absolutely could have said, we are effectively ruling Caitlin out. Being like, she's still going to try rehab, she's still doing it by herself, but we don't expect Caitlin Clark to return. And they could have done that instead of officially ruling her out and not listing her on the active roster. Especially when they only have 11 players. And one of them is Bree Hall, who doesn't play and won't play. And Bree Hall will only play if Lexi gets injured. Or if Ariel Paris gets injured. And that's a maybe for Bree Hall. Like, that is absolutely just a maybe that she plays. But finding out that Caitlin Clark is not even on the active roster because the Fever decided to put 11 players on the active roster. Like, if they had 12 on the active roster, one thing, they're gone out with 11 players. They're gone out with 11 players on the active roster. There's no harm. Even if Caitlin doesn't play a single game, just put her on the active roster. She's not taking a spot from somebody else. You can't just call up a random player in the middle of the playoffs. Like, it is frustrating. And obviously, there's stuff that we don't know about. But from an outside perspective, this doesn't make sense. And I'm not sitting there being like, oh, the Fever should try. The Fever should need to get Caitlin back. You know, the players. Like, I don't think Stephanie White should be worried about Caitlin Clark. I think that the assumption with Stephanie White is that she's not playing. The player should be like, she's not playing, but we're seeing her in practice gear. We're seeing her around the team. Like, there is no reason for her not to be working to get back from Caitlin Clark, and having an assistant coach be monitoring Caitlin Clark's progress. And when Caitlin Clark's ready to go, going to Steph White and being like, secret weapons here, secret weapons back. And then suddenly then Caitlin Clark works her way up. Could you imagine how much more of a threat the Indiana Fever will be in the WNBA finals? Let's just say hypothetically she's not going to be right for the season. Can you imagine how much threat they're going to be if Caitlin Clark plays those 12 minutes Shea Petty plays a game? Do you imagine how much more of a threat they're going to be? Like, it's still Kelsey's team right now. It's still Aaliyah's team. But now all of a sudden you have Caitlin fucking Clark coming off the bench. Like that suddenly gives you the best bench player on both teams when you're facing the Lynx or the Mercury, who have great bench players in DeWanna Bonner, who really, really must have hated Indiana with how she's playing, and Tisha Hydeman and Jess Shepard. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just don't think this was I don't know, it was just a smart move, completely ruling her out. Like, I get effectively ruling her out. I get just saying it's extremely unlikely and we're working off the assumption she's not coming back. But, like, if it makes no difference to the roster size, why not just play her? Come on, just play her. Why not just play her?